What's up, America? Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are watching from. Right now, something bigger than headlines is quietly unfolding, and most people are completely missing it. Because on the surface, this looks like just another geopolitical story. Tension, threats, negotiations. But underneath, there is a shift happening in power, in money, and in the systems that control both. And if you follow this closely, you'll start to see something much bigger than politics. Just hours before what could have turned into a major escalation, a decision was made, a sudden shift at the highest level. Donald Trump, instead of pushing forward, chose to pause. A temporary ceasefire at what many described as the last possible moment. Now think about that. 90 minutes. That's all it took to go from potential conflict to controlled negotiation. And that kind of timing is never random. Behind the scenes, there were reports of quiet diplomacy, channels that don't appear in headlines, conversations that happen far away from cameras. And somewhere in that process, a path opened. A path that led to one of the most important strategic points on Earth, the Strait of Hormuz. A narrow strip of water, but one that carries a massive portion of the world's oil supply. Every day, millions of barrels pass through that single location. And when access to that passage is threatened, the entire world feels it. Energy markets react. Prices spike. Fear spreads. But when it reopens, something else happens. Stability returns, at least on the surface. But this situation was never just about reopening a passage, because while one side agreed to pause, the other side came prepared, not just with demands, but with a strategy, a long-term vision that shifts the balance away from conflict and toward control. Instead of focusing only on military power, the focus shifted to economic influence, to systems, to leverage. And that's where things start to get interesting. Because the proposal that followed was not just about ending tension, it was about redefining how value flows through one of the most critical choke points in the world. Imagine this for a moment. Every ship that passes through, every barrel of oil, every movement of energy now comes with a fee, a small cost attached to every transaction. At first, it sounds simple, but when you scale it, it becomes something massive. Because we're not talking about thousands, we're not even talking about millions. We're talking about billions. Billions of dollars flowing through a single system every single day. And once that idea is introduced, everything changes. Because now the question is no longer about conflict. It becomes about infrastructure. How do you manage that flow? How do you track it? How do you settle it? How do you move it across borders without delay? Traditional systems start to show their limits. Banks are slow. International wires take time. Fees add up. And in a system moving billions daily, even small inefficiencies become massive losses. And this is where something new enters the picture, not as speculation, but as a possible solution: digital assets. There have been growing discussions about using Bitcoin as a way to handle payments in this kind of system. And when you think about it, it makes sense. It's borderless. It doesn't rely on a central authority, and it operates 24/7. No delays, no closing hours, just continuous movement of value.
But even then, there's still a challenge because Bitcoin, while powerful, was never designed for high-speed settlement at massive scale. It stores value, but moving that value efficiently is a different problem. And that's where another layer comes in, a layer that most people still don't fully understand.
XRP and the XRP Ledger. Think of it like this. If Bitcoin is the asset, then XRP Ledger is the system that moves it. Fast, efficient, low cost, designed specifically for cross-border transactions. Now, imagine combining those two ideas. A global energy route generating billions in fees connected to a digital payment system that operates instantly. No friction, no delay. Just value moving at the speed of information. If something like that were ever fully implemented, we wouldn't just be looking at crypto adoption. We would be looking at a complete transformation of how money moves globally. And this is where the story gets even deeper, because back in the United States, people are divided. Some see this as dangerous, unpredictable, a situation that could have gone too far. Others see something else: strategy, pressure, negotiation, a calculated move designed to force an outcome without triggering full-scale conflict. And regardless of which side you're on, there is one thing that cannot be ignored. The world is changing, not slowly, but in real time. And not just at the surface level, but deep within the systems that power everything. Energy, money, infrastructure. The things most people never think about are the things that are being rewritten right now. And if even part of this direction becomes reality, then crypto is no longer just an investment. It's no longer just speculation. It becomes infrastructure, the kind of infrastructure that sits underneath entire economies. And the people who understand this early are the ones who see the shift before everyone else does. So the real question is not, is this happening? The real question is, are you paying attention before it becomes obvious to everyone else? Because by then, it's already too late.